Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Brunch. I am your host, RM, and of course, we have with us today Russ Whitfield. Russ, how are you today?
I'm awesome today. I am awesome. It has been a good week in a good, an excellent, an excellent to average week in entertainment. I've not seen anything this week that has disappointed. It's been all good. My personal life things are going great. Um, Feels like I've turned a bit of a corner as the weather turns to winter. It looks like it's springtime in Rustland. I don't know.
I love to hear comments like that, Russ. I'm so happy that things are going your way. It's so good to see you this morning. Oh, also want to say hello to Dino Dinosaur,
Hey, don't know.
who says, "Good afternoon, RM, Russ, and Tom. I saw terrible flooding in New York and very much hope you, Mom, and family are all okay. We are all okay, Dino Dinosaur. Thank you so much
I have
for."
a question. I have a question. Is it Dino or Dino? I need to know because I'm erring on Dino. You're going Dino. I don't know. Like the man himself needs to clarify. I feel.
Yeah, okay. Certainly, do that, Dino Dinosaur. We're glad you are here, and we also have, of course, with us Tom Junior Jackson, our collaborator, moderator, and good friend. Tom, hope you are well. We are all good people. Says hello and welcome to Sunday Brunch Live. Please check the like and subscribe buttons and enjoy the show. Yes, absolutely, everybody would appreciate a like and subscribe. Hey, Dino Dinosaur says, Troy, I was on a lunch break with a friend in London. We saw two policemen with rifles outside a posh cafe, and inside sat Eric Bana. We only just walked onto a film set. Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's awesome, Dino.
That is excellent. That's wonderful. I love stories like that. Yeah, I've never accidentally walked onto a set ever. I love to hear stories like this. They are so exciting. And thanks again for being here. Bonzo
I have to say
Kilborn.
before you carry on, bit of a self plug because I'd forgotten about this, but I actually wrote a book that's set in the War of Troy. Two of them actually. It was like a collaborative novel with a bunch of other historical fiction authors, and Aram and I were talking about Troy. Yesterday. I said, "Oh fuck yeah, I wrote I wrote a book," so I forgot, but it's on the Amazon store, I'm sure. I don't know.
And what is the name of the book, Russ?
A Song of War and then A Sea of Sorrows was the sequel.
A Song of War. And that is a novel. It's on Amazon, guys. I'm just going to pull it up. A Song of War, a novel of Troy. I just want to present it right here so everybody can see it here on the channel. Um, and you can order it. You can see Russ's name is right here. Where is it? Right there, Russell Whitfield. And it's amazing. Of course, we just watched Troy the other day, Darth Plato and I, on the channel. A fantastic film. And you know something, Russ, you and I were talking about this, and that there are certain elements of of this story that lead to dramatization because although a lot of action happens, as I like to say, off stage,
Mm.
people still want to see the dramatization, and therefore you need writers who can bring those stories, bring those scenes that we all want to see to life.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, this was we did one before this, which they've done. They did one before I was involved, which was a year of fire or a day of fire, which is about the destruction of Pompeii. And the way that they handled it was basically each, excuse me, each author took a different character and they wrote about the event from their perspective, and then they carried this on. We did one after I was involved in the next one, which is called A Year of Ravens, which was about the Boudiccan revolt, and then I was asked back to do this one. So each of us took a character from the Trojan War, and we wrote about their experiences. But, there was a narrative. It was a continuing narrative, but from different people's perspective. And I got Agamemnon out of this one, and yeah, it was. That one did pretty well. In fact, it was originally released as an ebook. This one and its sequel, which was called The Sea of Sorrows, and yeah, it got it was an ebook under our own sort of license, but someone just really recently bought the rights and they've now re-released it with a cover, and I think there's a CD that goes with it and stuff like that. I don't know, but yeah. So if anybody wants to read some really good writers and me, then that's a really good book. I'm quite proud of that one actually. There's the Year of Ravens. Yeah.
So that one is also available on Amazon, guys. Boudica's Rebellion, Kindle edition, or you can get the audio book, A Year of Ravens. So you certainly do want to check that out as well. Let's see what else is on there. If I click on your name, a bunch of stuff does come up, guys. Russ has his own Amazon link on here. So if you want to find out more about anything pretty much he's involved in, including his Gladiatrix series here, which you can see Gladiatrix books 1, 2, and okay, well, I'm assuming 2 is somewhere on here, and 3, you will find it. Do go ahead and check out the Gladiatrix series, and there you can see it. It is fantastic, guys. So please do check it out on Amazon. Brogu is here. Oh, I'm sorry, Bonzo. Bonzo says,
Bonzo.
hi, Bonzo Kilborn. How are you today? Bonzo says, once more into the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. Cry, God, for Harry, England, and St. George.
Yeah, in peace there is nothing that so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war sounds in our ears, then imitate the action of a tiger. Now set the teeth and spread the nostrils wide. That bit was missing, but nice one, Bonzo. Nice one.
I think he typed as much as he could.
All right,
loud.
it's the best bit. It's the best bit, Bonzo.
Thank you so much, Bonzo, and good to see you here as always. Brogu is here. Says good morning, everyone. Hi, Brogu. Stavros is here. Hey, morning or evening, depending on your part of the globe.
Now, I was thinking of Stavros and Darth Plato just now when I was in the shower. Nothing untoward. While I was in the shower, I happened upon the latest drop from Kings and Generals. They've now collated all of their Peloponnesian War stuff. So there's a 3-hour documentary that's been sort of updated and stitched together. And so instead of just like going from one video to the next, they've actually just melded it into one whole video with new bits in it. 3 hours long. Absolutely fantastic so far. Loved it.
And that's on
On Generals.
Where could we find it?
On YouTube. We posted it last week, Kings and Generals.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much for reminding me. That was another one of those fantastic YouTube channels that we're hoping you guys subscribe to if you are fans of this genre. And Thalia Meyer is here, says hello and happy Sunday. How are you, my dear? Hope you are well. Darth Plato is here and says, salve, Russ.
Salve, man.
And Gary Bando Sandwich Worthington is here. Are you well now, Russie? I think you had a cold last week. You weren't.
I still do feel fine, but I've still got I'm still snotty and phlegmy. I'm sorry, gal, but yeah, I keep coughing up, and I'm still. But I feel great. I feel fine. I'm awesome.
And Miss Martin Muses is here. Hello, Miss Martin Muses. We hope you are well. Miss Martin Muses does have a YouTube channel. So guys, please make sure you are checking out her channel, liking and subscribing. So nice to see you here, Miss Martin Muses, who claps and gives a beautiful rose. Such a sweet and lovely thing to get on Sunday brunch. Thank you so much for being here. Chef Nation is here. Chef says, good morning, beautiful people. I don't know how to do a Trump impression.
He's got a brilliant. He's got the best avatar. It's the greatest avatar. It's the best avatar of all time. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I love it. I love it. I love his avatar.
Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Subscribe. Don't be a loser.
Yeah. Or you're fired. You know.
Yeah, you're fired.
Thank you so much, Chef Nation, for being here.
Talking of Chef Nation, though, I saw a really funny meme of that Trump picture, but it just said, "What my pizza sees from the microwave at 3 a.m." and it's just a picture of Trump. It's fucking brilliant.
And Lord Toth says, morning, everyone. Well, good morning to you, Lord Toth. Hope you are well. My favorite Mountie, everybody. Lord Toth is here. We also have Irene Jobson. Hello, says good morning. Beautiful, dazzling RM, Kent, and everyone in the chat.
There we go. Hello, Ethel. Good to see you.
Bonzo Kilborn says, are you on the Titanic? I am not on the Titanic. I'm just in my bedroom because I didn't go into my closet to film. I'm just wanted to have the fresh air because it's been raining for so many days. And today's kind of like the first partially sunny normal day without rain. So I wanted to sit where I can get some fresh air, and the sun is shining on me from the side of I'm in my bedroom, and the air is coming in that way. So Mighty Orbots is also here. Hi, Mighty Orbots.
Hello.
And we also have I have a person who I haven't seen for a little while. OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars says good morning, Art
Hey,
and
man.
Russ and everyone. Gee, guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel this morning. I so appreciate seeing you all, guys. And remember, this is Russ's Amazon storefront. Make
Oh.
sure you do check that out. We have Joe Tyson here this morning.
Big Joe. There we go. Hey, man. How's it going?
And also, that old Yorkshire geek is here. I watched their Alexander video. Good stuff. Yes,
Yeah, they're
yes.
great, aren't they? Really are. But it's so entertaining. It is so they're really, really on point. I'm really happy about this Peloponnesian War one. It's something to listen to in the gym. You know, you could just put it on while you're training and stuff like that. But yeah, nice one, Yorkshire Geek. Definitely sub to their channel. I love all their stuff.
Absolutely. Mighty Orbot says, just got some Strawberry Crush from Whale Mart. Yes, I actually went. Going to be like Robocop 2 when they get that canister of nuke. Honestly, Mighty Orbots, good morning to you. I wish I had a cherry slushy right now, Mighty Orbots. Something might have to be done. It's too far for me to walk. It's like almost 4 miles. But I do really want that cherry slushy. You are putting me in the mood for some. It feels like a little summerish. Like it's the end of summer. I know we're way past that, but it does feel a little end of summerish right here in Long Beach right now in New York. Um, yeah, guys, it's a Viking Samurai channel as well.
Hmm.
I absolutely love going to YouTube, opening up and seeing Viking Samurai with his like he doesn't have a 6 pack, he's got like a 12 pack.
Yeah, he's in good shape. That bloke.
And he's just like, I mean, he's just happy. This is just like it's pure happiness. Yes, he has a great physique in rack, but he's just happy and he spreads the love. I really like it. Scotty is here. Scotty
Oh,
R37
Scotty.
says, "Ahoy, brunchers!" Well, ahoy to you, Scotty. Ahoy! Good to see you. We also have Mario Lopez who's
Hey,
here.
Mario.
Mario, hope you are well. Hope you and your family, your mom, everyone are well from across the miles. So nice to see you here this morning. And who else? Nathan is here. Everybody's here this morning. Hi, Nathan.
It's a
Uh,
party.
yeah, Nathan said an EDM event. Looks like an EDM event to me that I want to be at as well. So good to see you. And finally, we have Stubble McShave. Hi, Stubble. So good to see you. Hope you are doing well this morning. I am doing much better myself, Stubble. Great to see you. Mighty Orbit says, say something about the weather in California. It's interesting. Yeah, Darth Vader was saying it's nice. Like you guys had nice weather. And guys, please do check out Miss Martin's Muse's YouTube channel. It's right here. This is her link. Please go ahead and check it out. She has such wonderful streams where she does so many beautiful contemplations. Guys, check that out. It's a beautiful, beautiful channel. If you want to honestly just philosophize about the beauty of life, that's how I would describe her channel. She may not describe her channel that way, but that's how I see it. Certainly a wonderful look to go to Miss Martin Muses and have that wonderful celebration of life.
Just subscribed.
Excellent. Thank you so much for doing that, Russ. And also, Tom June Jackson says, there's no Let's Get Physical Media. I know Robert didn't have a chance to, at least as far as I know, get anybody in. I didn't realize he hadn't scheduled someone also. Irene says that next weekend our highs are in the 70s and we have lows in the 40s. Yeah, that's quite a wake up call.
Where is Irene in the world? I know she's in the States, but I can't remember where.
I thought maybe she was in the South. Correct us. Let us know. Um, let us know. Scotty says that he picked up Rogue One, watching Rogue One and A New Hope today back to back. Oh, that's a
Sick.
great back to back, Scotty. What a great back to back. So great to see you guys. Check out Scotty on the Phantasmagorium show. He's been on that YouTube channel for quite some time. It's a fantastic YouTube channel. Scotty has several shows on there and many interesting guests. Scotty is a huge Trekkie, as well as a Star Trek fan. Star Wars fan. So make sure you check out Scotty, a very good friend of mine as well. Good to see you. Now, Russ, people are asking questions about how things went for you. Um, uh, from last week, I do see some people asking, how did Tuesday go?
Oh, Tuesday went really well. Thank you very much. So yeah, um, it's not green lit yet, but there's now a development deal in place with Netflix. So yeah, it was like fantastic. It was just fantastic news. It's been a long old road to get this far. We're not all the way there yet, but yeah, thank you for asking, guys. I really appreciate it. We had a pitch meeting, which I'd never done one of those before, so that was fun. And I had to pitch the project, and they liked it. So they said, yeah, they want to take it on, and so now the producers are all sort of firing back bits of paper to each other, and yeah, we need to work with the development team over there and get it ship shape for production. So please God, it all goes well, and yeah, fingers crossed. But thank you so much, everybody, for asking. I can't quite believe it myself. Actually, yeah, it's been a long road, but thank you for checking in, guys. If there are further developments, we will break the news on Positive Fandom for sure.
Absolutely, guys. So do stick around, which many of you have been anyway, to find out further developments on this. And Irene mentions right outside Chattanooga, but technically in Georgia, right over the Tennessee-Georgia border.
Ooh, I'm going to be in
That's
Tennessee
interesting.
this month, so
Yeah,
don't
that's
know, don't
interesting.
know, don't know if I'm going to be anywhere near Irene, but I'm certainly going to Tennessee, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's very interesting, right, Russ? I
Hmm.
really do like that. I also want to say hello to Luminara. Luminara,
There
who
she
is
is.
the queen of Figure Flex. She is such a wonderful YouTuber. I enjoy watching her on Figure Flex Friday on the 1/6 Scale Man Network, which is Lael's channel. So do check her out there. Luminar, it's such a pleasure to see you. It is always so wonderful to do brunch with you here. I also want to, yes. So I had some flooding near where I live. Okay, some flooding. We got more rain than we've ever gotten. Like, I think it broke a record. We got 8 inches in less than 24 hours. So it was a lot of flooding. And I spent a lot of time cleaning up flooding and stuff. So that was kind of like a good portion of my Friday. And I couldn't go out of my house. They asked us to shelter in place. So I couldn't go out, and it there was also lightning all like for almost 48 hours, and it was bizarre to see lightning during the daytime. That was just so weird. It wouldn't stop, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't turn on the television to watch the news. I was getting ready to go and see my mother in her rehab place, and that's when I looked, and it said shelter in place, you can't go anywhere, so I couldn't go see her. So it was an interesting weekend, and I was just really exhausted. And Stubble, thank you so much for this generous super chat. He says a contribution to the RM flooding relief fund. Thank you, Stubble. I really could use it. Hope you are staying dry. Heard about the dire situation in your area. Yeah, it was bad. It was very bad. We're still not able to fully use all of our water systems because we're a barrier island, and they asked us to refrain from using the water too much over the next 36 hours, which is kind of a long time, but it takes that long for that much water to recede. So,
Mm,
it has been just awful. Irene talks about the lightning, and she's almost been struck so many times down in Florida. Yeah, it is terrifying. Yeah, Bonzo, my mother is still in her rehab facility. She comes home on Tuesday. So, I just want everything to be cleared up before she gets here, but the timing is not great. I would have liked to have had everything um I would have liked to have had everything in place before this weather thing happened. Now I'm somewhat less organized and somewhat less ready for my mother to get here, and I'm not happy about that. So, and I can't change the date now. Like, I took time off of work so I could bring her home. So it's not like, I can just sort of switch the time around. And I've already told them that I'm coming for her. There's an ambulette going to pick her up. Like, it's kind of like a big process. So it's not anything that I'm really going to try and reschedule now. Really, Tom? I didn't know you had a yacht, Tom. You could have. Okay, Tom, you're making me laugh. Certainly that was it is very funny looking at that. It was a weird storm, Russ. It was really weird.
Hmm.
And I can't explain it. This was it's rained for almost 2 weeks. And I've been complaining almost every day that I couldn't go to the boardwalk, which is something that if I don't do in the course of the day, it feels weird. I just it's so strange. It's so strange, but I so appreciate this, Stubble. This makes such a big difference. Stubble knew that I was sort of in the process of removing boxes, and I'm doing like it is like a fall cleaning, right, guys? Some of you do fall cleaning and spring cleaning. So I do this and I was right in the middle of it, Stubble. So this is so appreciated. Thank you for the support. I really do need it.
That's
I've
really nice, man.
Yeah, I've had to shift a lot of stuff. And it's like now when you go down my hallway, um, literally there are boxes on one side. So it's one of those situations. So
The
I,
boxes on one side and sandbags on the other, right?
yeah, well, fortunately, I was able to, anything that got wet, I was able to remove it from the box. And I put stuff in a plastic bag just out of experience. I put stuff in a plastic bag before I put it into a box. So this is something that my mother taught me to do for a long time, but it still have to remove wet boxes, these wet cardboard boxes, and they were huge, Russ. Like they were huge.
Mm.
So I can't pick them up when they're soaking wet. I had to cut them apart, move whatever's inside to the side, throw it out. I couldn't even go outside of my house to throw the trash out. Every time you walked outside, you would hear this big lightning strike. And I'm like, yeah, maybe they are right. Maybe it is really dangerous out there. Thousands of people lost their cars that day on Friday. It was a disaster here. You couldn't really go anywhere. So yeah, it was a big deal. And yeah, thank you so much, Stubble. This makes such a big difference to me. And I appreciate it. Um, Joey says it's finally not raining here in Pennsylvania, but no flooding, thankfully. Glad to hear that. Joey Johnson, how are you? Hope you are well, Joey. Good to see you, and thank you for being here. Certainly good to see you. Anytime you can stop by. And Tom says we got rain, but nothing is heavy. Yeah, it was crazy, Tom. I kept contacting Tom. I said, when is this flooding? Are you getting flooding? And he's like, no, we got a little bit of rain. And I'm like, this is nuts. Irene says when it floods in Florida, people literally break out their canoes and paddle down the flooded ditches to the liquor stores.
Sensible enough.
I think you would need a drink, especially, like if it's flooded and you really can't do anything else. You can't go anywhere. So you probably would need to get something. So, and Brogu says that's what we do here in Texas.
What, paddle down to the liquor store? Yeah, I've been to Texas. I can believe that. I don't think it
Well,
rains that much in Texas, though, does it?
many people are saying congratulations to you, Russ, in the chat. Want to mention that, and we are very happy for you and excited for you.
Thank you.
And we
Thank you,
support you
everyone.
here on the channel, guys. And do also check out Russ's Amazon storefront, where you can find more of his fantastic work. Um,
More of my work.
Bonzo says, Art, here's a virtual hug. Oh, thank you so much. Seems like you can use it. I do appreciate that, Bonzo. It has been a struggle. So I have just a few days, literally, maybe 1 or 2 days to get things in order for my mother because she's coming home Tuesday morning, probably around 10 a.m. And if things are not, I think at the very least, her section will be in order, but my section of the house is not going to be in order. So I can't have everything in place like I would have liked. So, and that's okay. I still got to work on it, but, Stubble, thanks again so much for the support and everybody. It's been a very interesting September. Wow. What a September. So Russ, you and I have been talking about entertainment. I didn't get a chance to watch the Continental,
Oh
but
my God, you have to watch this show, especially you. It's where you grew up. I
yeah,
know you'd have been really little at the time of this, but it will bring back memories. I am sure. Like they have done a brilliant job of recreating. Well, every single sort of shitty New York film that I've seen, you know, from Cruising to Death Wish to The
Yes,
Exterminator.
yes,
It looks like that. It looks like
really.
that. Yeah, it's awesome. They've done a brilliant job.
Yeah.
And they've got this character in there called Lou. She's a black woman, and she's like a karate expert. And they clearly, you know, she's obviously a sort of Pam Grier, Foxy Brown, you know, kind of substitute in there. And yeah, this show, man, I was not really, but I wasn't really too, you know, I think of how they're going to do this. And I sort of watched the first one and thought it was okay, but now it's got into its groove, man. It is. They seem to just found their groove in the second movie because it's three movies, right? It's three interconnected, really long shows. They're both all an hour and a half each, and yeah, now that we know who everybody is and we know what the stakes are and the players in the game, Gibson is just chewing, chewing. You know, he's obviously having a brilliant time, relishing playing this character who is just evil. Like he doesn't seem to have any. So far, he doesn't seem to have any redeeming qualities whatsoever, which is kind of nice in a bad guy, I guess. But yeah, the story's compelling because we kind of know where it's going to end up. It's just the hows of it, sort of ending up where we with Winston and so on and so on. But yeah, I think I was a little bit overwhelmed with all the needle drops in the first episode. But like I said, episode two, it just seems to have found its groove. There were needle drops that had Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street was in there, and I
Oh,
Can't
I love
Live.
that
I
song.
know, right? And it had I Can't Live If Living Is Without You, and all these kind of things that they're throwing in, all these great 70s tunes. And they fit really, really well. You've got cops, you've got assassins, you've got Winston, and you've got his gang. This gang of African Americans. One of them's, you know, his brother's mate from Vietnam, and then you've got the Foxy Brown, Lou character that are all involved in this. Oh, and then they're fighting the triads. It's really cool. It's really, 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 really fucking cool. I mean, yeah. So here's the thing. So we've got it on Amazon, and you know, just to sort of address the thing, this has no messaging in it whatsoever. And you'd think with the sort of African American people, you know, especially one's come back from Vietnam and one's a woman and all this kind of business, you'd think in many other productions there would have been a, you know, it's literally that's a soapbox that they've got right there. They do not play into it at all. Only conversation she's having is one with the Tong leaders, and you know, she has a dojo, and he says you can't call it a dojo. This is Chinatown. It's supposed to be called a quoon. And he said you it just pisses you people. If the way she said it pisses you people off that he was black and he would beat all of you guys. You know, so I'll call it what the hell I like. And that's the only mention of race that I've heard in the entire show. It's not on a soapbox. It is just delivering a really, really, really decent story that is adjacent and very much part of that John Wick world. It's not as hyper stylized as John Wick. I'll give it that, but it stinks. It stinks of 70s New York. It is done so well. You know, you've got illusion like you go to the Bowery, you see the Bowery people as they were back in the 70s, and you see all of this stuff going on. So it's kind of like it's not hitting you with member berries or anything like that, but it's just adjacent. It's a lovely companion piece. And she, that lady there with the camera, the cop, KD, she's brilliant. Everyone is brilliant in this show. And what was really weird was this made me laugh actually. I I saw the same wallpaper that my mum used to have at a place we used to live at night called 96. It was the address was 96 Brookwood Road in Hounslow, and they had the same fucking wallpaper. It was disgusting, but they had it. It was yeah, it's great. It's really really great. Watch
Yeah,
it.
and of
You
course this is a young I can't remember the gentleman who passed away, but clearly this is him as a
yeah,
younger
Karen,
person.
yeah,
Yeah, and you know, we can certainly see what's going on here. in regards to the wallpaper, it was probably mail order. I know how it was during that time period where you could get these bargains if you got these mail order wallpaper and it would be sold. And it is very interesting that you would recognize something like that, Russ. I mean, it sounds amazing. I got to watch the show. I want to thank Irene for the $10 super chat for a shot or a pint should warm you up. Thank you so much, Irene, for always being so supportive and kind. This is going to make a big difference to me, Irene. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. You know, you can't see it now, but I have fans going to kind of dry out some of the wet areas of my house. So, you know, that is also happening. And Luminara, who I'm assuming has watched the Continental, says she is great. Luminara, you know, gives the thumbs up for the show as well.
You know
Russ,
what? You know what, Aram? You see, she might not be the lead character, all right, but she is a strong female character. This is how you do it. Watch that show. Right people like that. Brilliant. She's brilliant. I love her. She's like one of the main characters in that show. Um, yeah, Yen is another brilliant character. It is just, it's really good. But we've got it on Amazon, but it's not an Amazon production. Am I right, or is that am I not right? I don't. I really don't know.
I have no idea. To be honest with you, and looking at the actors, the only one that I know that I really do recognize is obviously Mel Gibson, but I like that we're going with a new cast, some fresh faces. And from what all of you have seen, are talking about how talented this cast is. I can't wait to see this. This
Well, I
is
tell you
really
what, they've got Katie McGrath in it, and if she's another one, if looking at Katie McGrath, she's so beautiful that it really you have to wear. It's more than hurts your eyes with Katie McGrath. You have to wear sunglasses, and they have her in this mask. She's one of
it
the
says she's the
invigilate.
agitator.
Yeah, the adjudicator. That's it, the adjudicator. She has this mask on, and she takes her mask off. You don't see her face, but you know, apparently she's got something wrong with her face, which I think is so ironic when you've got someone as, oh God, God was having a good day when he said, you know what I'm making today, boys. He's saying to the archangel, and they go, fucking hell, God, whoa, you tone it down a bit. Maybe she's a horrible person in real, I don't know, but she is beautiful and plays a really good role. She's embraced this role of the adjudicator, similar tropes to the one we already know from John Wick 2, is it? I think. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Can't rate it highly enough. 10 out of 10. I know this is positive fandom, but this is a show that I am sure they will exploit and do an 80s version of. I'm sure there'll be a follow up, The Continental in the 80s, where because that sort of nostalgia bait is going to go down well, and they have nailed, like, even the pants. Like, one of the cops is wearing these pants, and I just remember people, from when I was a little kid, like walking around in these like pants with patterns on them and all this
The
stuff. Yeah,
leisure suits.
yes, yes.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this. Maybe I should do a watch party. You said it's 3 parts. Maybe I should do a watch party for this.
Second, last part is out next Friday or Saturday. I forget which day it comes out. But yeah, I watched it this morning. I also watched Ahsoka, and I went to the theater this week to see The Expendables 4.
Wow. Now, how was that experience? Oh, I see the mask you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, and she, she takes it off in this scene here, right here, but you don't see it. So she's obviously got something horrifically wrong with her face. But that's kind of the conceit, isn't it? Because Katie, there you go. Look at his look at his pants. Look at his
I
pants.
love it. I love it. I
But the
love it all.
cop, the other cop, the male cop, he has a pair of bangers on, like, right at the end of the season, and that's Lou there in the stripy t-shirt, in the stripy jumper,
Yes.
sweater. She's
Yes.
playing the sort of Foxy Brown character, and there's a fight scene in this, and I was slightly critical of the fight scenes in the first one, and like being dead nitpicky. But this fight scene she has with these triads, what I loved about it, and if anyone's here sort of knows martial arts, you'll pick up on it as well. Her dad was like a karate champion, and he's bequeathed her his dojo, his karate school, and every move, every block, every kick is a karate move. Blocks like this, blocks like that, punches like that. Does all, it's so That's what I like. It just they thought, yeah, she's a karate person. She's going to use karate. Let's have her do karate, and she does, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
And Irene says, I have that song stuck in my head. I can't live if living is without you.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, Irene. I can't give anymore. Absolutely. I have Baker Street stuck in my head as well. I love that Al Stewart song.
well, I was going to say,
Certainly
Irene, we've all sat there, haven't we, with the bottle of wine and that bloody tune playing. Well, I certainly have anyway. Just like, oh, well, yes, some sad times, heard to that song. I'm going to say,
Stavros says Mel Gibson gutsy the call on the spinoff. Yeah, people I've heard a lot of people talking about his performance. Um and yeah, that is very interesting to see that here in the show. Stavros had some comments about, I think it was Marvel. He said, do you guys think that the Marvels will bomb? I hope not. I don't ever think a show is going to bomb. I think that if they give us good marketing and the marketing matches the film, and people who want to see that film that they're promised get what they want, then the film won't bomb. That's how I look at it. What do you think, Russ?
um, I don't think it'll bomb because kids will go and see it, and parents will take their kids to go and see it. But I don't think it's going to do well. It'll probably make its money back, but um, we're just in that changing landscape now, aren't we? Of where these films actually have to be really, really good to make an impression. Like the day of printing money, you put someone in a cape and you print money. That those days are gone. That all ended. That all ended, I think, with Endgame, didn't it? Really, that sort of thing ended, and then everything else has been on a downward trajectory.
I think
I'm not interested in it myself.
I
I couldn't care less. But
I think it ended with the last sequel movie, where people were so frustrated and they were expecting a certain experience, and they didn't necessarily get that experience. And
the
like I
which
said,
movie? Sorry.
the last sequel film for Star Wars, I think that's where it ended.
Sorry, no, I
29.
was talking about superheroes specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, but yes, no, you're quite right.
Um, so I think, let's say if I were gonna look at, a film that had a profound effect on, this being marketed one way, but then you're kind of presented with something that was just different. Like, it's different from what you're being shown. It's very
Mm,
different. And I can't wrap my head around that. I don't know if the people who do trailers um, are aware or understand it, but that marketing is a huge impact on a success of a film. And
mhm,
when something's promoted one way and then you get in there and you're like, that's not what I thought this film was about. We've all had that experience in the past, but it seems to be more and more common. And I think that kind of has changed things when the representation of it isn't really that accurate. So um Gary Bando Sandwich Worthington, and I'm sorry for going off topic a little bit, but Gary Bando Sandwich Worthington says she is foxy and kicks ass, of course, talking about the Continental. You guys are raving about the Continental here in the chat. James Stavros says James Gunn is my new hero. He kept three pieces that mattered. Zola was great as Jamie, and every Beetle rewatch it gets better. I can't stop talking about Zolo. I think he's going to be such a big star. It does not matter whether they sold one ticket or a million tickets to that film. Zolo is a huge star ever since we saw him in Cobra Kai. Russ, what do you think?
um, I don't know about James Gunn being my hero, but yeah, he's a great kid, a great little actor going on. He's at the beginning of his career. He's had this one breakout role now in Cobra Kai. Now he's a superhero. Let's hope that that guy goes on to great success. He seems like a really lovely chap. But yeah, my jury is out on James Gunn. He's now confirmed that he is keeping all of these characters from the DCEU. It's canon, but it's not canon. But it kind of is canon. I'm not enjoying the mood music, but yeah, all power to them. Let's hope they make a success of it. But I'm not hopeful, guys. I'm not hopeful.
Luminara talks about how she loved Katie in Merlin.
Yeah, she was in
Yes,
Supergirl as well. Was Katie McGrath? That's where I first saw her.
absolutely, Luminara. and certainly good to see her in another program. Stavros says Expendables 4 has legit zero plot. I couldn't even believe it. I guess you did see it, Stavros. Um, uh, did you like it? That's something that I'm just curious about, and why or why not. Um, oh, this is very interesting, Irene. It's the heterochromia. I think another person, a number of people have this. Irene says that fun fact: Katie McGrath has one green eye and one blue eye condition known as heterochromia. Hmm, very interesting. Um, and Nathan says Russ is giving high praise. I might check the show out. Do I have to see all? No, no, you
Not
don't have to see it.
You
No.
might appreciate it a bit more in that you know you get to see like the John Wick coins that they use, and you'll see characters when they were young and all that kind of thing. But you know, thus far, it hasn't lent on those movies. You know, there isn't even like a John Wick Winston opening up, you know, like Keanu Reeves and Ian McShane, you know. So tell me about the old days, you know, like there's none of that. There's like none of that. It's literally you know is the answer to that question. Um, but as an aperitif for the John Wick films, yeah, if you haven't seen, I can't believe you haven't seen John Wick, man. They're great. They're great films. I love them.
And Brogu says the Continental is a great watch for me. Glad to hear that, Brogu. I do want to point out something that is really interesting that that Stubble has said, where he talks about in the 70s the absence of smartphones, having a communication device and a supercomputer in your pocket destroys many interesting plot lines. And I am noticing that with a lot of sort of these murder mysteries in modern times where they can check cell phone triangulation and figure out where someone was and their phone calls, but also the CCTV, which is so pervasive now, but in 1970 I don't know how pervasive it was. I know it was not a thing in New York. Was there CCTV in England in the 1970s, Russ?
Yeah, we had closed circuit television, but now we're the most surveilled country in the world, apart from China.
So
Um,
it was not as pervasive.
Oh God, no, man. No, it's gone
Okay.
insane. It's gone insane. We've got cameras everywhere. It's one of the reasons why I want to leave this country. I can't bear it anymore. Face recognition cameras on the traffic lights now that they're claiming is for the ULEZ, and we all know that it's not for the ULEZ. It'll be to charge you, but it's don't even get me started. Don't get me started on this place.
Well, what's interesting, he says one of the best things is having a communication device and supercomputer in your pocket destroys many interesting plot lines. Absolutely, Stubble. And, it's kind of like less that the writer has to say. All they have to do is say, well, let's check the CCTV. Um, let's go ahead and look at the phone calls. And, quite a lot of it, I guess destroys alibis and people break, so, well, according to the CCTV, you were here. And but yeah, I am getting a little bit distracted by it because there can't be CCTV everywhere, especially in Russ. It seems like it's even going into more rural areas. You would think you wouldn't need CCTV in some of the most rural sections of the country, but I guess they feel it's a necessity. Some of these sleuths can't solve these crimes without CCTV being everywhere, everywhere.
I'm not convinced it's about sleuthing myself, but let's move on.
Well, Darth Plato says, remember executive decision. It was advertised as a Seagal Kurt Russell movie, and Seagal was killed in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I do remember. That was a good film, actually.
Yeah. And Stavros goes on to say, I don't like it, but I didn't want my money back, unlike Fast X Lunacy. Interesting.
He's
Fast
talking about the Expendables.
10. Yeah. Glad that you didn't want to get your money back. um, uh, Scotty's asking about the comedy Keanu. Um, I don't know it.
It's a parrot, isn't he? I think I have. You know, funny enough, I think I have seen it. I think I have, and I can't remember why. Did I have to
Was it
take
good?
Sam to the cinema? I can't remember anything about it. I'm sure he was a parrot or a bird or something. I can't, I can't remember. But I seem to remember he was in a shop and he escaped from this shop or a room. Yes, I've seen it, but no, I can't remember a thing about it.
Yeah, Broku says there's CCTV in every street corner in England.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think it really doesn't do New York very well for it. There's just too many people. It's like, well, we can film 1 million people in one day. Well, what are you going to do with all that information? Somebody has to sort it. No one wants to sit there and watch that many hours, 8 hours of video. Um, it's just a total waste in New York. The computer would have to process it and find people. There's just no way that you could really see everybody and understand everybody. But yeah, it's insane. Um, so Irene says CCTV and phone records, etc., are huge tools for solving true crimes nowadays. Okay, I hope it is doing some of that. And Bonzo mentions that Bryan Cranston was killed off quickly in Godzilla.
Like
So
Seagal.
yeah, and Darth Plato that has a quote here in Latin.
Yeah,
Uh,
who watches the Watchmen?
So, oh, hey, Keely Chow is here. Roll Tide, Keely Chow. Hope you are well this morning. Good to see you. So glad that you are here. Jamin D is also here. Hey, Jamin
Hey,
D.
Jamin.
Good to see you. Hope you are well. Russ, what else is on your mind that you've seen? I've seen a pretty incredible film called The Creator. For entertainment value alone, it was a lot of fun. I think that film really was great, but I'm got to be honest with you. Last night on Midnight Musings, I was very clear that that film was not marketed for what the film actually is. The film is actually called The Creator, but they're trying to make you fall in love with the creation.
Mm,
Um, and you kind of lose that. In fact, even in the trailer, um, one of the main stars, the actual creator, is not in the trailer. So you have no idea that this person is even in the film. Like it's one of the biggest stars in the film is not in the trailer. And, I think that this marketing issue is actually going to hurt that film tremendously, regardless of the fact that it's being advertised everywhere. I think it's really unfortunate that that has become the focus, and the fact that the film focuses on AI, which has been kind of getting a bad rap everywhere. AI is not necessarily is with as many articles about, well, you can use AI to help you. There's been a lot of panic associated with AI. Do you think a story that wants you to fall in love with AI is realistic now, Russ?
um, I can't comment on it. I had a choice. I could go and see that, or I could go and see the Expendables, and I know where my money was going to be spent, uh, because I love the Expendables movie. A film trying to make us fall in love with AI almost sounds a little bit cynical to me. I don't know. I've heard two takes on this film. It's like it's a brilliant breakout hit, and it's the biggest pile of garbage ever. And I really don't know which it is. I do intend on watching it. Having said that, so I tend to try and avoid YouTube reviews and things like that of a film that I actually want to see, because of 9 times out of 10, like I clicked on the drinkers review of the Expendables, what his assassination of the Expendables 4, to be fair, and it sort of, it gave away like a major plot point. um I know Stavros says there isn't any plot, but there kind of is, right at the beginning, and I was like, I was a little bit disappointed, so I knew what I was getting going into that. So no, I don't know. I can't comment on it, RM. I haven't seen it. I've got no point of reference for it. I've only seen the trailer, and I kind of get the idea that from the trailer, that the secret super weapon, of course, is in the shape of an adorable little girl, and they decide that he's not going to destroy it, but he's going to try and save it or whatever, and it's going to be about that. So that's all I know.
And that's in just what you described, which is I'd say a good portion of the story is not apparent in the trailer. Like you don't get that from that trailer. All you see is some cute kid walking in a beautiful field with beautiful plants kind of blowing in the wind, and a man standing by him. Almost looks like The Road, which is a film about this father and son who are there's a apocalypse.
That's a depressing film.
And
I've only seen it once. I'd never watch it again. It was too bleak.
it was very dour. Um, and to be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure what was happening. I didn't know what this film was about. I mean, it's called The Creator. I said it should have been called The Creation because it's about these things that have been created. And then you don't really know who the creator is from the trailer and why there's a conflict. Like there's no instinctive kind of like what it's about. So when you finally are watching it, you're like, oh, this is kind of like there's a lot of love in this movie. A lot of, they want you to fall in love with these characters and they want you to see this love story. And I'm like, you can't get that. The trailer just has them walking in a field. Like, how is that explaining what this film is about? So I really was not happy. I feel like that marketing campaign was a total bust and a failure of what it was about. In fact, after seeing that trailer, I didn't want to see that film. I didn't. But I said, let me watch it. And it's so dramatically different from what was advertised that
Maybe
the
we have a
trailer
different
made me not want
maybe
to
we have
watch
a different trailer in the UK because, like, I saw, a guy burst into the room with a gun and and the little girl sort of looks up at him like that, and then you see him, like with her, and some guy says whoever controls the weapon wins the war and all that. So, I got a fairly good idea of what was going on. It maybe the trailer's different. I don't know.
Mhm. Well, Bonzo Kilborn says, "Relax, everybody. Our overlords have only our best interests in mind. If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear." I love
Yeah,
that, Bonzo Kilborn. $1 million. Like,
got the evil.
yes. And yes, thank you, Joe Tyson. They have to. Nobody can look at all this stuff. The NSA is building a ginormous facility in Utah to process all that data because nobody on Earth even gives a shit about it. We want it to all go away, honestly, because it's not necessarily helping us here. Um, so Irene talks about her security camera on the porch. I think that's fine. Like, you do need to have a little bit of security in front of your house, but as long as everything's fine, that's okay. Hey, Darth Plato says it's tiresome. AI stuff is really tiresome to me. Not sorry. Yeah, after a while, they want you to kind of respect. And it's interesting because they show you robots and AI. And I was also saying that I don't think the general public knows or even cares what the difference between a robot and AI is. Because we
Mhm.
have, millions of robots in the United States that do mechanical operations all the time, and we depend on them. If they broke down, it would kind of cripple our, import export industry, especially at the ports where there's a ton of machines, robotic machines that control the ebb and flow of imports and exports. So it would cripple the U.S. But I think that people don't care. They don't want to care about these items. They just want them to do their whatever job it is and go away. Some
It's
people
it's
work.
it's a new industrial revolution, isn't it? This is gonna take lots of people's jobs, and the world will change. Whether it will change for good or for evil, we literally don't know. I listening to the head he was the head of AI at Google, and he's left to form a non-profit to warn of the dangers of all of this stuff. But even he says, like, it could be a utopia or not. We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, Bonzo makes a good point. As for AI, can abide by commander data, but no further.
Hmm.
And they balanced out data with, of course, lore, right? Good AI, bad AI. Let's say, not that the actual and mechanics were bad, just the intention of the character. So they didn't want it to have a fully, like AI is the best thing ever, and every AI character is going to be a delight. They didn't want that, and I think they accomplished that um, in Star Trek in a sense. But yeah, so I would say, to be honest with you, I know who said he saw The Creator yesterday. Joe Tyson said he saw it yesterday. Um,
Did you like it, Big Joe? That's the big question. Did you enjoy it? Are you raving about it, or were you just like, "Meh, it's okay"? Because I've heard it's either awesome or crap. That's like from the headlines, and that's all I know about it.
It
Um,
reminded me, and Catherine Cook also, who I stream with on my channel and on the Burnettwork as well, mentioned that she said it had the same plot as Avatar, but even there's some scenes that look like Avatar. Um, so there's a kind of a similar feeling to it there, where you can kind of say, oh yeah, that does kind of look like what you might see in Avatar, and some of the flying vehicles and things kind of reminded me of it. Um, I didn't hate it. I think, as I said, if it was marketed correctly, named correctly, and then this would have felt very different. And
Would you have watched it if it had been marketed as what it was, or did you go
yes,
in it? Yeah, you would have. Right. Okay. Cool.
mhm, I would have, because there's a love story in it. And I love
Uh,
love stories. Like, that would have hooked a lot of people who want to see a love story and not expecting to see a love story. And they want you to fall in love with the AI. This is the difficult part. How do you make an audience fall in love with AI? Well, guess what I fell in love with in AI? Guess what story made me fall in love with AI? Ex Machina, right?
mhm.
How many of you guys fell in love with Alicia Vikander in that story? Did you not love her as a AI? I
Come
did.
on, man. Who didn't cry? Who did? And I don't care. I did. Who didn't cry when the fucking T800 got lowered down into the steel? John Connor's there crying. He's like, and he goes, "I cannot self-terminate. You will have to lower me into the steel." And he's going down. I'm fucking welling up thinking about it now. It was traumatic. It was traumatic. Sorry, but it was. So
Yeah.
yes, you can make people fall in love with AI. He was a Terminator too.
Yeah, this is something to think about, and I do think, that the lead actor's performance, of course, he was in Tenant,
Mm.
he was wonderful in this. He was a great role, so it is very interesting, and I think, oh, okay, Tom says he's never seen Ex Machina, um, but, when I think about, yes, Terminator, one of the greatest movies of all time, right? When I think about making you have feelings for AI, would you have ever thought, after all the bad, let's say, all the bad views and pictures and uh, ideas you're given about the Terminator, would you ever think that you would have ever had sympathy for the Terminator? There, but there you have it, like you said, Russ. That's brilliant writing and also the right presentation. Weren't you terrified when you saw the Terminator? Like, it's scary looking. It's meant to scare you.
Yeah.
It's meant to scare you, but you also need to see and realize other elements in the story, and they deliver that. They deliver that in it. Mario Lopez talks about Blade Runner, another one. Um, you can't help but fall in love with those robots. And I kind of what I liked about Blade Runner was I always say this, it's like, why are humans constantly falling in love with these AI robots or even anything like this? Why is this a big thing? Hell, there are even people who are doing this now. I mean, it's not really, they're not living robots or AI, but people are looking at it as a potential for the future. Brothels will be, potentially all AI, um, which could solve a lot of problems, but it still is. There's another movie, and it starred the guy he's a Spanish guy, really attractive. He was in Interview with a Vampire, Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas.
And I can't remember the name of the film, but
I'll tell
um
you. It's called Automata.
yes. And in that film, they had some AI that were used sort of like in a sexual manner, and it felt very uncomfortable, Russ.
Hmm.
Seeing these robots used that way, and it felt like as if I was watching a human. I know that's stupid, but that's what it felt like. And I was like, this isn't right. I'm like, I should not have watched this. But the film did that to me. And that's maybe the experience I'm not necessarily getting from the creator. Um,
Well, I mean, that Automata's on my watch list, which is why I knew what you were talking about because I only wrote it down the other day. So, yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, and we did this is nice, kind of talking about AI movies that we all love and enjoyed and why. This really is interesting. Well, thank you so much, Joe, who says, well, I'm pretty much agree with RM's assessment of the movie. I thought the depiction of the near future of the film was interesting. I felt it had an Avatar vibe. Yeah, yeah, definitely, Joe. Thank you for mentioning that. Um, also, well, something, Bonzo Kilborn says, Darth Plato, if all the droids look like Kelly Brock, bring them on. To be honest, it doesn't even matter what the droids would look like. I want Yuang, the droid from Ahsoka.
Hmm.
I want him desperately. He's 20,000 years old. There's another droid that you got introduced to Star Wars Jedi Survivor, another ancient droid. I really like the idea of this ancient droid who has all the information. We all know, fans of the IP know that these droids are sort of the recorders of history. And I was absolutely fascinated by a scene between Ahsoka and Huang, where Huang says, "Do you remember when I told you the story of the history of the galaxies, part 1, 2, and 3?" And I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, what like I have to hear this story." And I said, "How lucky was Ahsoka to even hear these stories?" And I realized that Huang is really one of the most interesting characters on the show because he has all that information that we want. This is what we want out of Star Wars, is what Huang knows. Um, it's kind of very interesting to look at it from that part or that point of view. Gee, I really want to know what he knows. And yeah, that's the AI I would want. I don't necessarily want an AI sort of doing chores for me and stuff like that. I don't need anybody to do chores for me. I want the knowledge. I'm a knowledge quest person. I want as much knowledge as I can get. So um Huang would do it for me. Um Oh, and I like this Mario mentions. Yeah, and Bonzo, there's nothing wrong with making a AI look the way you want. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'll tell you what, Mario, you want
That.
to go get yourself onto YouTube after this show. Don't leave the show. But there's a brilliant song by a guy called Gary Newman, who you may or may not have heard of, and it's called "Time to Die," and it was directly inspired by that by that movie because Gary Newman's huge into that stuff. But there's people have done fan mixes of it now, where you can watch a little bit of Blade Runner. But it's yeah, "Time to Die," really good song.
Yeah, Gary Newman is a famous musician. He's written a bunch. Didn't he write "You've Got a Friend in Me"? Am I wrong?
No, he
Like,
did Cars Down in the
oh,
Park.
uh-huh.
Here in my car, I feel safe as the
Oh,
vault.
oh,
I
that's
can
right.
lock on my. Yeah, it was him. But this is
What-
not like that. It's not as poppy as that at all.
What's the name of the group?
Well, it was just Gary Newman. Before he was in a band called Tubeway Army,
Oh,
but
okay.
pretty much known as Gary Newman.
Cars was a huge hit in the 80s, Russ.
Mhm, mhm.
And it had, like, a little futuristic sound to it, that I liked with the synthesizer, so
All his earlier stuff was like that.
yeah.
Gary Newman's brilliant. He's absolutely, and he's changed his musical direction several times, but it's still at its core, it's still obviously still him. So yeah, definitely worth the listen.
Yeah, you can I got, like, highlights going on here. Mario says, I have, really a great sympathy for Roy Batty. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe." Oh, it's so wonderful. Gosh, I miss Rutger Hauer so much. Um, Joe says, "I'd have to say Colossus: The Forbin Project is likely my favorite AI movie." I've never heard of this before. Russ, have you?
Yeah, it's I think sort of touted as the first film that uh ordered, warned about the dangers of AI, and it's about this scientist who creates a supercomputer that will solve all of our problems. And I think, Big Joe, is it black and white? I seem to remember it being black and white, but I haven't seen it for the longest time. But I do know what you're talking about. If I've got that right, that's the one I'm thinking of anyway.
Colossus: The Forbin Project. Forbin. I've never heard of it before. Thank you so much for bringing that up, guys. And thank you, Joe. Let's just go ahead. Let me just see. Colossus: The Forbin. It's 1970, 1970s. Ooh, this is nice. I love this retro science sci-fi. This is wonderful. Gosh, I love doing this. And I also want to thank I want to give a shout out to Stephen Bro. Hey, Stephen. Thank you so much for the 199 super chat. Says,
Well, dear,
thank
he's
you.
a handsome chap, isn't he? Bloody hell, I can see
Very
it because
handsome.
this screen's much bigger than. Whoa, hey, Stevie,
He looks like a movie star.
he totally does.
Says, thank you. I cried for the T2 T800 too. We all did. It felt like you were destroying a living thing. And I think that that's when you know you've hit that's movie magic, when you've got everybody's attention, when you can pull in something that means more than just writing it down on paper. Our emotions are attached to these characters, Russ, and that's what you kind of want the audience to feel. Um, Irene says R2D2 and C3PO all the way. Yes, I love them. Hey, we even saw in Ahsoka this week, Russ, as poor Hera had to kind of be on the stand against some senators about why she decided to commandeer a bunch of ships for a military action. We even saw C3PO get disrespected in the show when the senator says, "Hey, this is just a droid." And Chompers is like, "What? Say what? Excuse me?" I think that was just really adorable, adorable. I think Chompers would agree with this. Stephen, bro, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. Hope you're well. Welcome to Sunday Brunch. And thank you so much. I so appreciate the generosity. This is going to make a big difference to me. And Wally, Irene, I have a very interesting comment to make about Wally. I watched that film with my mother. And I didn't think, or at least I should have known, because it was maybe a film that was about hope anyway, that plants would suddenly start growing back on the planet. So I was shocked that Wally was able to find anything. But that was the whole point from the beginning, that, you know, life can be reborn. But yes, definitely Wally. Yeah, it's affecting me right now. Um, so oh, look at this. Look at this, Russ. Laura Toth is talking about Mel Brooks' History of the World. Uh, and Mario says, and I waited for part, you know, they finally made part 2, right?
I,
Mario Lopez says,
did
I did
they?
you yeah, didn't they, guys? Part 2 is out there, right? Somebody back me up on this. I know, right, Russ? Mario Lopez says, I did not get tickets for Taylor Swift, so I will go see the concert movie. Yeah, Taylor Swift is wonderful to watch. She looks great. She's entertaining. She's nice, right? She doesn't dog anybody. This is the type of woman,
Or
I
unless
think.
you broke up with her, then, then you're going to
Well,
get it in
that's
the neck.
different. That's a little different, right? So, you know, I don't think she's like wishing they would die and they're the
Oh
devil
no,
and
God
are
no.
evil, which is kind of like, she doesn't necessarily vilify the entire male population. Um, but you know, I think that for a lot of people, men and women, you know, you can take your child to see a concert of hers and you're not going to be like shocked or scared by what you're going to see. It's just going to be pure entertainment. So, you know, I think that's kind of important too. I think there should be entertainers that parents can go take their kids to see and not be scared of what you're going to see on, you know, the stage. For most parents, they want something that's going to be safe for their kids, and you know, they're not necessarily that impressed with, you know, sexual, you know, themes for their children. Like, most parents don't want that, let's to be honest. So I think Taylor Swift is pretty safe and friendly and nice, and she encourages people to be that way, and that's what parents want. I don't know.
I just
um
posted that song in the chat for Mario, by the way.
Definitely. Stavros says the robots of pure love and wits R2D2 and C3PO. Definitely. And yeah, Brogu says, I remember Gary Newman. Now I want to thank Bonzo Kilborn for this $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Um, oh, it says, despite Russ's admonition, I do have to leave the show. Everyone have a great week. RM is thinking of Randy Newman. That's who it is. You got a friend in me, Randy Newman. Thank you, Bonzo. I love
Nice
that
one,
song.
Bonzo.
Isn't it the sweetest thing? You've got a friend in me. Doesn't that
Hmm.
just like make you want to smile? Okay. All right. I'm going to turn off the cheerleader here. I'm going to leave it alone. But yes, I am thinking of Randy Newman. I just love, I think that's like such a nice thing for a person to say to someone else. Oh my gosh, it's making me teary eyed. Thank you, Bonzo, for the $5 super chat. And I just wanted to look at this Colossus Forbin project. Like, it sounds very like, even listening to this, a 1970s American science fiction thriller film by Universal Studios. Susan Clark, Gordon Pinsett, William Shallert. Oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. The film is about advanced American defense system named Colossus, the Colossus system, becoming sentient. Look, you can even look at this poster. Oh my God, look at this poster. See, this is what I'm talking about. In the poster, you actually see people in bed together, Russ. They are in
Hmm.
bed together. This is what I like about these movie posters.
The good old 70s.
I mean, This is what I'm talking about. Adult entertainment, everybody. We know there's a sentient machine, and we also know there's gonna be a little bit of love making in this film, because you got to have some little bit of love making in the film. After being handed full control, Colossus' draconian logic expands um in its original nuclear defense directives to assume total control of the world and end all warfare for the good of mankind, despite its creators' orders to stop. I love it. A shocker, fascinating, and some kind of bedroom scene. This is I'm gonna watch it. It makes me just so happy to see stuff, posters like that. That's why you would watch it if you didn't see the trailer, which sometimes you don't. You see that poster and you're like, oh, this is
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah, it looks interesting. And thank you, Bonzo. Thank you, Bonzo, for the super chat. I appreciate it. It makes all the difference. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I love his music too. Randy Newman is great. Gary Newman is good too. So appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for everything. Oh, Broga says it's you have to watch it. I will. Yes, thank you. Tom Jr. Jackson says History of the World Part 2 was a TV series, and it is on Hulu. Thank you, Lord Toth. So Russ, you can watch it. I haven't watched it, but you can watch it finally. Like, we've been waiting forever.
Yeah, God, I haven't seen the first one for many, many years. I just remember what my favourite line was. You look like the piss boy. You look like a bucket of shit. I just remember that. That just really made me laugh.
It is funny. And of course, is even funnier like when you see somebody with a thing, and it's just hilarious stuff. The Replicant. That is the
It's just a
song,
link to the
right?
song. Yeah, no, no, the channel's a replicant. It's just a link to the
Oh,
song. It's fine. It'll start
okay.
playing.
Well, wonderful. Um, that is amazing. Yeah, she went out with John Mayer, I think. Maybe he wrote a song about her. I don't know. A lot of his songs are kind of lovey-dovey songs. Yeah. Um,
Oh, Irene points it out actually, right down at the bottom there.
yes.
She says John Mayer wrote the song Paper Doll about Taylor Swift. There you go.
I know my John Mayer songs.
That's
And
right, man. Here come to Positive Fandom for all the answers of pop trivia. We're there for it, spanning the gamut from Gary Newman to Taylor Swift. You couldn't get two more diametrically opposed people than that, could you? But there we go.
Thank you for backing me up, Irene. Apparently we are listening to the same choice selections, and thank you so much for that, Irene. Of course, OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars says War Games is my favorite AI movie. Would you like to play a game? Yeah, let's play a game. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know it was going to affect the entire world. Matthew Broderick in War Games. It's a classic, Russ. What did you think when you first saw that film?
I was so young when that came out. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I loved all of those films in those days. Those were the movies that made us, as they say. It was certainly one of the movies that made us. But the truth be told, I was much more into Mad Max and Terminator and Escape from New York and um, than things like War Games. I much preferred the sort of darker apocalyptic stuff, even as a youngster.
Yeah, I do, and I admit I do love War Games. I also do crave a post-apocalyptic stuff. I love that for
Well,
some.
in the 80s, the post-apocalypse was fun. People were just wearing leather and going around on dune buggies and having loads of sex and fighting all the time. And then you got the road, which is probably much more realistic interpretation. That was so bleak, that film. I would never watch it again. Like, it just, I
I think
appreciate I
one and
appreciated
more.
it. It was shot beautifully, it was acted beautifully, it was scored beautifully, it was paced perfectly, it was everything you could want out of a movie. It was just it just upset me too much. And I thought that was interesting. I am glad I had that artistic experience. I do not want to relive that again. It's no, no, thank you.
It was incredibly painful, and it was terrifying
Mm.
to see what had happened to the world and to see the danger out there. And we always knew this danger was there. But I guarantee you guys, if Law and order left the United States. The United States would be the most dangerous place in the world to be, guys. I don't care how dangerous those other countries are. You can't hold a candle to Americans. I'm just gonna say that, having lived here my whole life, as soon as that authority is gone, it's going to be, you want to run from here. So, and that's why it's a good setting. That's why it's always a good setting for shows like this. I'm certainly not dogging Mad Max and its feel either. That's excellent film, but this is the one you don't want to be at. You don't want to be here. Get a paddle boat, get something,
Hmm.
and head to Canada or something, or Mexico. You'll be safer there, honestly. Um, but war games had a huge influence on a lot of people. That's another thing I'm going to say.
Mm.
It did have a huge influence, and it certainly gave the notion that a child, a young adult could somehow break into, let's say, if you will, uh, a security system. And I think it gave the notion like you can be a hacker. That's what he was, right?
Well,
He
that was the thing, though, wasn't it? I was suddenly reminded, and I bet nobody remembers this, but there was a TV show in the 80s that was inspired by it. It would have been the early 80s as well. It was a show called Whiz Kids, and they had like, they plugged their, their house phone into the computer, and they could do all that stuff. They'd be going around on their BMXs solving crimes and shit and hacking. Yeah, Whiz Kids. I just literally just popped into my head.
Oh my god, I love it. I'll meet you at the mall, as I
Mm,
say. I'll meet you at the let's meet at the mall at 5 a.m.
mm.
I just love it. I just love that innocence of it all. And Stubble says it's good to be the king. Darth Plato talks about the Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. Um, okay, so let's see what else is going on here. Yeah, but
You're gonna
Darth
have to give
Plato,
you're gonna give me a second. Excuse me.
sure. It's a fantasy film, Darth Plato. That's what war games is just supposed to make you fantasize about that. You're not supposed to take it seriously. It's an idea of what if, and then of course I think it started many a hacker's career of what they could do with their life. Certainly something that is spectacular when you think about it. That it was just a fantasy. Um, and that's the idea that you could even do that. Tom Jr. Jackson talks about the Manhattan Project. Yes, it's very good too. Um, and let's see what else is here. Irene also talks about Harry Styles, perhaps, um, and their short romance.
One Direction. Now there's a blast from the past, Irene. Cl-
Yeah,
Clearly a closet fan of the boy band over there.
yeah, absolutely. Um, And, the other thing I was gonna say is, let's see, Owl City wrote Enchanted, which is a twist on one of, Taylor's own songs. You're a Taylor Swift fan, Irene. You are a Taylor Swift fan. Thank you, Irene, for giving us the 411 on this. Um, Stubble makes a good point here. He says the only way to win in war games is to start total thermonuclear war, I think is what the thing said. Yeah, yeah, and that's cool. That's all right. I'm right there with you.
One D, one D. I remember them.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is very interesting to see this. Oh, I've started a reread of the Dresden Files in anticipation of the new a new book next year. Only 17 books to get through. Luckily, most of them are great. Oh my goodness gracious, 17 books. Wow, Stubble. That's a lot of books to read. Um, I like hey Wex, I like Take That. I do like Take That, and I also like One Direction. I like them all. I like them all. Boy bands are the best. Yeah, OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars says you the only winning move is not to play.
Was that the
Um,
tagline? Yeah, I guess it was. I seem to remember.
so yeah, it is something to think about. Yes, that and Brogu reiterates it. The only way to win the game is not to play the game.
Hmm.
Darth Plato talks about people seem to be moving from AI as fantasy to AI as sentient is a fact of life. Yeah, and that's the general you're not taught it in school. So how would you know whether it was real or not? You're not taught any of this in
It's
school.
crazy, isn't it? How it's just, like 6 months ago or 8 months ago, nobody was talking about it, and now it's just ubiquitous, and everybody's using it. It's frightening,
Yes,
frightening.
but the most frightening part about it is that the movie didn't capitalize on it.
What movie? I'm talking. I'm
See,
talking.
exactly.
I'm talking about realistically. Like nobody,
Right,
nobody
but
knew what ChatGPT. Vast majority of
I
people did
agree
not
with
know
you.
what ChatGPT was 9 months ago, and now everyone's got it and everybody's using it. It's frightening
I
how
agree with
ubiquitous
you.
it's become. Yeah,
How pervasive it is now.
yeah.
However, movie producers and the marketing companies didn't capitalize on
No,
this.
you're quite correct. Yeah. Well,
That
maybe
should have been the one
what's that one
thing.
called? That new one, the with the guy from Tennant. What's it called?
It's
We were
called
just
The
talking.
Creator.
Yeah, the creator. Yeah, that
You
one.
can't
See.
even remember the name of the movie, Russ.
Hmm.
You can't even remember the name. And there aren't a whole bunch of films out there right now.
Well,
You
you were
can't
just talking
even
about AI in general, and I was like, "Well, which movie? What one do you mean?" Like, I wasn't sure, but I'm talking about it in reality. I just couldn't believe. I can't believe how quickly it's here.
Yes, but if I were the marketers of this, I would be hooking it somehow to some other real AI uh application where people can get it.
Mm. Mm.
Because that's what they're thinking of when, right now it's one of the hot topics. It's probably one of the most searched Google requests right now. And yet, a movie that says they specifically say AI throughout the entire film, is not, like it's very strange. This is odd. People should immediately be thinking AI, oh yeah, the creator. But
Mm.
you couldn't even remember the name of the movie.
No, I was just thrown by when you were asking me about that movie, and I'm like, "What movie?" Because we were talking about Blade Runner, we were talking about War Games, we were talking about
True.
Terminator, we are talking about AI
Very
with,
true.
and I was like, I don't know what you mean. Sorry, so apologies."
No, no, but I just think it's interesting they missed out on a great opportunity to do something. I wonder what people in the chat would do. Um, oh yes, Luminara, definitely iRobot. I really liked iRobot, and of course it's based on a famous is it Isaac Asimov's book, or is it another author?
Asimov, no, he did iRobot, yeah.
And it was a great story. I liked the movie with Will Smith. I think he was great in that. I think that was maybe one of his best films. Um so I'm fond of iRobot. I liked that, and I also liked Will Smith in the one where there are the zombies. I can't remember what it's called, but
Oh god.
so he does some,
I am Legend.
yeah, he does sci-fi good. I think Will Smith does good sci-fi,
Hmm. Well, Independence Day.
yes. Yeah, he was very good. So Russ, what else is on your mind today that you want to talk about?
Uh, I feel I need to stand in defense of Expendables 4. Um, I don't know why people are hating on that movie. It's literally an Expendable. What are people expecting from an Expendables movie? It does everything that an Expendables movie should. Um, I the only criminal thing about the Expendables 4 is the overuse of shaky cam in unarmed combat or knife fight scenes. When you've got people like Jason Statham, Iko Uwais, and Tony Jaa fighting, and then Randy Couture for that matter, um, don't be shaking. These people know what they're doing. Don't be shaking the camera around. Give me long shots. Give me long takes. It was criminal. Actually, it was a crime by the director not to exploit those people's skills. Um, it it's got its problems. It's certainly the weakest one out of all of them. And I don't know, is it? I don't know. It's kind of on a par with three, so it's not up there with one and two. It's never going to be up there with one and two. But you know what? I loved it, and I do not know why Megan Fox is getting a kicking about her performance. She was brilliant. She was sassy. She is, well, she's Megan Fox. Another one, you know, she's obviously been brought into the movie for her sexuality, for her looks. Let's be honest. You know, she acts, she does a great job in this film. She's sexy. She kicks some ass. She's beautiful. They aren't shy about putting her in a tank top, you know, because she's Megan Fox and you know, and all that sort of thing. And it was great. It was great. Well, I literally, people are going, oh, it's fucking played out, and yeah, you know what, guys, it was played out in 1989. That's kind of the point. These things were played out in 1989. When you're going back for a cuddle, and Stallone and Statham and everybody, they gave me a cuddle. I mean, yeah, it would have been great if Arnie and Bruce had been in it and so on, but they were not. But yeah, well, look at her, boy. But you know, look at him. And everyone's running around with their shirts off, you know, and machine guns and blowing shit up, and it's ridiculous plot. And why would somebody want to cause a who knows why someone would want to start a nuclear war, but this guy does. And there's, you know, there's some leaps of logic you've got to go through, you know, to get with it. But at the end of the day, you're not really there, are you, for, you know, sort of Soderbergh-esque meditation on, you know, the rights and wrongs of mercenary work, and you know, when should mercenaries retire, or is it so, you know, it's not that, is it? It's just Megan Fox and Jason Statham knife fighting and blowing things up, and I thoroughly entertained by it. I think some of the criticisms have been that, you know, some of the people were underused. I say that they were, yeah. You know, 50 Cent was all right. Randy Couture didn't get a lot to do. The Garcia there on the bottom of the phone, that was an interesting choice. That's almost, if you know, like you can sort of tell where they had production problems. Clearly, they couldn't get Antonio Banderas, and clearly they couldn't be bothered to rewrite the script. So they just, you know, brought in this guy who was Antonio Banderas' son, and just basically acted and looked and sounded and did all the same things that Galgo would have done. And I thought that's just like silly, you know. Just you've got money, pay him back. You know, just pay Banderas. He'll do the film. He's been in some shit himself. But yeah, it's solid 3.5 out of 5 for me. You know, 7 or 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7.5 out of 10 for me. It was really enjoyable. Great way to spend a couple of hours. I took my daughter to see it. She loved it. She thought it was brilliant, and it's not directed at her age group at all. But she's loved all of these movies. She really enjoyed them. So I would not listen to people who are grifting online and just saying that everything is shit and the worst movie ever made. This is not shit. It's not the worst movie ever made. It's fun. It's great. I suspect it will be the last of the Expendables because it hasn't made any money for whatever reason. But I don't know why, because it's not bad. It's not a bad film. It's an Expendables film, and if you like the Expendables, then you'll like this. And if you don't, you won't. And that's basically the bottom line. If this you like an action movie, delivers.
Interesting. Certainly, guys, if you want an action movie with all these famous and familiar faces that we love, The Expendables is for you. I think it does fit a certain demographic, and it's an action film. And you know, as such, I don't know if it matters. Yeah, the answer is yes to that one, Irene. I see the name there. It looks good to me, but if you're expecting more, maybe if you're going in there for something different than an action film, you might be disappointed. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to probably see it this week.
Well, you know what, Aram? I just think the criticism from all quarters, even people that I quite admire as critics, you said, if you go, your words, if you go into this expecting something that, look at the poster. How could you not go into that expecting exactly what this film is? And like, people have, you know, they've just come down on it like really hard for doing what it's good at. It's literally delivering everything that you want out of an Expendables movie. Oh no, it's crap. It's played out. It's this. No, it's not. No, it's not.
I think in the poster, even Megan Fox has a gun in her hand.
That's right, and so she should. She was wonderful in
And,
this. You know,
and
and you know what? You know, they spoke about years ago. They wanted to do a female spin-off of this called The Expendables, and the whole plot was really really stupid, and it's a stupid name for a film. But if they did a spin-off with her leading up a team, I'd watch I'll write that shit. I would watch the shit out of that. That would be awesome. Her character was good. She was good, and she fitted in. She absolutely fitted in with that team. And you know, for certain reasons, she's in charge for a while. And you know what? You're kind of expecting her to be, you know, the girl boss and this and that. And you know what? She isn't. And it's great. It's great.
I think it's interesting. Of course, Russ, I was just asking you this question. I think it was yesterday. Is there a movie that has all of, let's say that group of beautiful women from that era, let's say the 90s? And I guess Megan Fox might be a little bit after that time, but women like Megan Fox and Pamela Anderson. And we could go down the line, Carmen Electra, keep going
I
with.
wrote one. I wrote one. I'm trying to get someone to buy it. It's called American Kickboxers, and I've even in the pitch deck that I made, there's a big picture of Pamela Anderson right at the front with her boxing gloves on, and then I had Natasha Henstridge, and Rona Mitra, and Gillian White on the front, and that would be my dream cast for that movie. But yeah, you know, I take Denise Richards and Carmen Electra, you know. But yeah, I think that I think these people should get a crack, and if I get my way, then I will sell that. So if I can get the money, I'd make that movie.
I agree, and I think that many of these stars we're seeing, maybe not the ones you mentioned, but many of the stars that we see who aren't in, who maybe aren't doing as many films right now, are doing things on Hallmark. For those of you who watch Hallmark, yes, I mentioned Hallmark. Um, many stars are going to those networks and doing, these sort of love stories that apparently women can't stop watching. We're addicted to these
Mm.
love stories on Hallmark. So I also want to see more of that as well. And I know they're kind of B movies, but these are essentials. I need them in my life. So I'm not going to lie. I have to watch them and I don't care. Um, they are kind of corny. With that out of the way, Luminara brings a point to us here about the angry black girl and her monster. It's on Shutter now, and it's a play on Frankenstein. Luminara, that sounds amazing, and I've got to watch that. I love listening to Frankenstein or watching all the renditions of Frankenstein during the month of October. It was never intended to be for a particular month, Frankenstein, but I always associate it with Halloween. So, yeah, I got to watch that. I love movies that have that sense of that scary Frankenstein feel about it. So now thank you for bringing that to our attention. Mario Lopez says Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf is also a good AI.
Mm. That's a 2000s movie, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And thank you, Joe Tyson, who also says Her and Ex Machina. Now I know Her stars Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson, but I haven't ever watched Her, and I know she's supposed to be a robot. It's Scarlett Johansson's voice, right?
Hmm.
Have you seen it, Russ? Have you
No,
watched
no.
Her? Okay. And then of course, yeah, it's so good. I really love Megan, and I did a watch party for Megan with Lorraine on the channel, and we had such a great time. It was so much fun. I think Megan is one of the best characters since Chucky. Um so yes, and Luminara points out, Russ, Pam Grier should be the wise elder. Yes, that's
Hmm.
dream team right there, Luminara. Certainly we want Pam Grier, and of course we should have Halle Berry
Yeah,
too.
I tell you what, peak Pam Grier was something to behold. She was something to behold. Let me tell you.
Well, I could see her in a suit, commanding everybody like Waller. She wouldn't be as cold or like as let's say hard ass, but
Mhm.
I could see her being sort of in charge like Waller is
Well,
of the
personally, I
team.
can see her in her gladiator outfit from the 1970s film called The Arena, but that's just me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Joe Tyson says I have to watch Her as well. And I have a lot of homework. Yeah, I do have a lot of homework. Gosh, Irene, aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky that a lot of the IPs that we love have had so many stars, so many beautiful looking stars, in the starring roles. It's amazing that we have had that, and I'm so happy. Um,
I must just say, Tom Junior Jackson says he's thinking of watching Private Benjamin later. That Tom, that's one of my all-time favorite movies. I fucking love Private Benjamin. I used to love the TV show as well. They had a TV spin-off of it. I had a big crush on the actress that was playing Judy Benjamin in the on the TV show. But that film, I absolutely, I was only young as well when it was on, but I've seen it so many times. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And it's Sergeant Ross. Most of these bombs are inert. However, some of them are and the captain's looking at it like, and Eileen Brennan, Breslin, she got nominated for I think she won the Oscar or got nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, and Goldie Hawn funded that whole thing herself. I think she was producer. She really got everything together to make that film. It was a real passion project of hers.
yeah, that is interesting. I didn't know it was a passion project of Goldie Hawn's, but I think it did a lot for her career at
Yeah,
the time, and it seems so improbable that she would become a private in the army. It seems so impossible that a woman would be doing that,
so
and
he's coming anything else but green. It's so good. It's so good.
yeah, it was. And of course, like now women are, it seems more of a norm thing, with women doing this. And even in high schools, of which we mentioned, high schools and colleges of junior ROTC and ROTC now eagerly trying to recruit women, which is interesting. Luminara mentions that Pam did play Waller in the CW universe. I didn't know that. That is very interesting. It's funny that I made that connection anyway, which is must have been some kind of weird psychic reason why I pulled that out of there. But was she as hard ass as the other lady who played her? I wonder. But not a surprise. I like I said, I would want to see her in charge of all the ladies. Certainly very interesting. And guys, remember, we did do a watch party. Lorraine and I did a watch party of Megan, and you can see it if you click on the channel there. Stubble brings up Daryl. I remember Daryl. The thing that stood out with me with Daryl, the only scene I really remember in detail was that he was in the cockpit of a fighter jet, and he asked the pilot, he's like, so how do you plot a course to go somewhere or something? And the pilot says, well, you enter in this and then you press this button and you do this. And so he learned how to fly the plane, the jet, by watching the pilot's comments. And I just looked at, I said, it's got to be more complicated than this, but he's a machine, so he was able to just remember what was said. Yeah, so I do remember Daryl. I don't remember what the DARYL stands for, but I do. Do you remember that movie, Russ?
I remember it, but I can't remember anything about it. I remember I used to see it in the video shop, DARYL, all the time. I don't even know if I've ever seen it actually. I can't remember anything about it.
Yeah. Um, OG fan from Star Wars was just Star Wars says Eileen Brennan was killer and Goldie Hawn, what can you say? She was so irresistible. Overboard was another one that
With
she made.
Kurt Russell, yeah.
That really was unbelievable. Yeah, you're talking about is it Kate
Kate
Hudson?
Kate Hudson, yeah.
Yeah, she was fantastic. She was the last it girl that I remember.
hmm
She just had such a dazzling career. Thank you so much, Joe. Data analyzing robot youth life form for
Joe,
Daryl.
you are on fire today, brother. You are on fire. Joe Tyson, Big Joe is owning it today. Thanks, man. You rule.
So, Russ, did you see the last episode of Ahsoka?
I did.
Okay.
It was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was okay.
I think that's where we're at. I think that's where we're at with Ahsoka. I was looking forward to it. I was kind of into it, and I was kind of hoping it was going to be something, and it's not something. But you know what? A couple of weeks ago, we posted a link in the chat here, which was, like I guess we're sort of adjacent to a certain corner of the internet that the drinker and all those guys, or certainly my views align with theirs uh, on many things. But I found a video that was like the opposite point of view, and I remember the guy said in the video, you know, look, essentially these are just sort of like, you know, middle-aged guys who are just pissed off that Star Wars hasn't grown old with them. And that comment, as I said, it just resonated with me so much. And I think that's why we all loved Andor so much, because Andor was Star Wars, but it was Star Wars that was made for you and me. It was made for older people. It was an adult political espionage, gritty thriller about a communist or fascist empire, whichever way you want to turn it, and how that works and how people rise up against it. This isn't that, is it? This is essentially a kids show. And if you ever want to see that, like the stormtroopers turn up and they can't hit anything again, and they're all rubbish and they all get killed and they're disposable bad guys, you're not supposed to feel bad for that one that was running away that Sabine Wren just shoots for no reason other than the fact that he's a stormtrooper. Um, it's fine. It's really fine. I'm kind of disappointed the choreography of this show, especially when you've got Sabine Wren, who apparently is I forget the name of the actress, but she's just an uber martial artist, and they do not exploit that at all. And where you've got someone like Rosario Dawson, who's a very talented and athletic lady, they haven't. You know, when I was talking about shaky cam in the Expendables, when you got Tony Jaa and Jason Statham and that. Well, she isn't Tony Jaa or Jason Statham, so this is kind of when you do need to use some camera trickery, because obviously using two weapons is so much more difficult than just, you know, holding your lightsaber like that. Now you're kind of wielding the two of them, and there's all these things you need to do. Um, and I think you just think it's the choreography lets it down a lot, and I struggled. I'm struggling to care about Ahsoka now. I'm struggling to care about what happens next. I was quite struck by the Balin Skull revelation of, you know, well, go on and you can go and kill her if you want. And um, his apprentice, whose name will come to me in a minute,
Shin Hati.
yeah, Hearty, you know, Hearty turns around, what aren't you coming with? And he goes, no, your path lies down a different path than mine. Bit like, you know, a bit of a refrain to the Obi-Wan, or they were kind of refraining back to that particular statement. And then they have a fight, and he doesn't want to kill her, and you know he's not even pissed off that, you know. So there's a lot going on with Bale and Skull. He's the most intriguing character in the show. Um, you know, again, it's the typical Star Wars thing, isn't it? Of the show's named after somebody that isn't really in the show. You know, they kind of did this. It's not really about Ahsoka, is it? You know, it's about everybody else but Ahsoka. She's just the glue holding it together. Uh, well, it was all right. I'm just not enthused about it. I was really, after the first couple of it, you know, I was enthusing about this a couple of weeks. Oh, this could be really, really good, and it just turned out to be okay. And yeah, it's a kids show, and I think having listened to that alternative perspective and sort of like, you know, realizing actually what this stuff is, I'm less inclined to care about it. And that's really sad, because I did used to really care a lot about Star Wars, but now I kind of know what it is, where it's going, what they want to do with it, and me being annoyed about it or not annoyed about it isn't going to change anything. So it's an okay and averagely entertaining show that I wouldn't be watching unless I was on positive fandom. But you know, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, yeah, certainly. Wex Wuther points out here, this is very interesting. He says, I've been seeing fan made lightsaber duels. There are some incredible people out there doing it, and Disney is giving us.
If you want to see the best lightsaber duel of all time, you should go onto YouTube and have a look at Amy Johnson fighting somebody over a Grogu toy. And then they get transported into Star Wars world, and they have a lightsaber fight, and Amy Johnson kicks ass and takes names. You want to see something special? Go watch that. It's awesome.
Yeah, and Robert was saying last night, I had said that I felt that well, I said a lot of things about the show, but I'd said that it really is the pacing of the show and the writing that's it's off. You know, it's the balance is not correct, and you know they weren't really able to pull it together. I'm trying to remember what Robert said. Oh gosh. But we said a lot of things about the show. It's lost my it left my mind, Russ.
Mm.
Oh yeah, he said that it shouldn't have been a Rebels reunion. He said it should have been, a show that was separate from that whole team. They didn't need to bring them back. And I said, I would have been happy with it just being an Ahsoka show, and all she did was talk about the Force. I would have watched a show with only Ahsoka in it, and it was her talking to us about what the Force is. Kind of like what we saw with her former master Anakin, telling her what she needs to do and study with the Force. I would have watched that, and I would have been equally satisfied, if not more satisfied, just to see Rosario Dawson teach us about what the Force is about, and we'd learn new things. But they decided to kind of put Ahsoka to the side, as you said, Russ. She's not the main focus of her show. And it was used for this Rebels reunion, which is what Robert called it, this Rebels reunion, which most people don't know anything about these people because most people have not watched Rebels. Um, there is no reference point. You introduce this character, there's a danger. Well, who is this character? You know nothing about these characters. Nothing is given to us. They could have even done like a special on Disney Plus where they kind of introduced us to the characters, like a holiday special, and we could have known, kind of like what Guardians of the Galaxy did after the hiatus of not seeing the characters for a little while, Russ. They gave us a holiday special, which really didn't have anything to do with anything, but it reacquaints you with the characters, Russ, or at
Mm.
least lets you know who the hell these people are if you hadn't seen them before. Give you some time from January to August to understand who you're watching. Then you'll know by August, oh, yeah, I saw them in the holiday special, got a little bit more understanding of who Sabine Wren is and who Hera is, because there's a lot of people who never even saw these guys before, didn't understand what Rebels was. Maybe they would have watched it if you had thrown in a holiday special or something for people to understand what is going in. And, I also said this, Mario, Ahsoka is such a beautifully produced show. It looks perfect, pristine. I've never seen such a great production value. It's perfect, but it's subpar when it comes to this plot. We don't know what Thrawn is up
It's just
to.
such a shame, and I just think, you know, when you bet, I heard David Goyer talking about the DCEU, and he said, "I've never seen so much architecture built on air." When he was talking about the DCEU, and kind of feel with Disney Star Wars, it's architecture that's built on a foundation of shit. In that they just absolutely got it wrong from the beginning, and the sequels were crap. And I think as you get more and more time away from the sequels and you start to look back on them with some perspective, because a lot of that Twitter backwards and forwards are all based on politics and ideology, and you were a racist if you didn't like this and you were a sexist if you didn't like that. But when all that smoke and flame has gone away, and many people just look back at these movies and go, God, they were just dog shit. They were dog shit movies in every way, shape and form. And then you compound that with the announcement that, you've got this 30-year history of canon in the expanded universe. No, fuck all that. We're not doing that. We're doing this. And here we are, 10 years later, where they're sort of plumbing the depths of the EU, or Legends as it's now called, bringing back all these, characters, that side characters and all the rest of it, when all they had to do was just make Heir to the Empire 10 years ago, and everyone would have been raving and sucking at the Disney teat from there to eternity. But they haven't. And so it's all just built on this foundation that stinks. All roads lead to the sequels, and they can the EU. So no matter what you get little good episode of Boba Fett here and there, of Mandalorian here and there. You get this series, which is okay. You get Andor, which is brilliant. But by and large, when your foundation is poop, what are you going to build ultimately? What's going to grow? I don't know, man. I'm like kind of over it. I'm over it, and I think that's where a lot of people are getting to the stage. You know, for me, it's the realization, as I said, that bloke said, "Well, you know, you're just a middle-aged man. That's well, I'm an old man, but you know, you're pissed off that Star Wars didn't grow up with you or get old with you." And yes, I kind of am. And that's a very, very astute observation. I wish it had been written for us as we got older, but it isn't. And here's the thing, and it's one for the chat as well. It's one for you, Aram. If Disney turned around tomorrow and said, "You know what, this Star Wars shit isn't working. We're actually not making any more Star Wars for a period of years until we can figure out what we want to do with it. This franchise is officially dead." Would you even be upset? Because I'm not sure I would be. I'm not sure I want to see more of this.
No, I wouldn't be upset. I think that they could step away for 4 or 5 years, maybe even 10 years, and I'd be fine.
Mm.
There's plenty of other material to absorb from Star Wars. You know, we
Rebel
don't.
Moon, Rebel
Yeah,
Moon.
there's a lot out there. There's a lot of reading material. There's a lot of fan fiction, fan-made films. There's a lot of stuff that you can watch. You don't really even need Disney at this point to continue the saga because there are other people who have great ideas, and you could just follow them. I mean, I think that's probably what is happening, and we're going to see more and more of that going forward. With let's say potentially um, hundreds of people who are going to continue series on and on and on about this IP, and they don't care if they're making money off of it. They just want to have fun with it. So, yeah, we're all saying this. I'd rather wait 10 years for a good Star Wars. I don't think we're going to get that, except Andor was like a one-off. We were very lucky, and we were very lucky with the Mandalorian for a while. There is that case, and certainly looking at it from a critical point of view as writers, let's say, Russ, you and I as writers, looking at it from that point of view, and some of you in the chat who are writers as well, can see the deficiencies in the show. But this is what they decided to push through. It would be one thing if this was a show like Andor, where I think the writing was very good. But
Mm.
even with a very well-written show, Russ, it doesn't guarantee success.
No,
And
for sure not.
so, a lot of people didn't care for Andor. They felt the pace the number one thing I think people said was that the pace was off. Like took so long to tell that story. I felt the same way about Ahsoka, but certainly the writing for me was better in Andor. But even with a good show, if they produce one, there's no guarantee it's going to do well. And it's just one of those situations. We had the prequels, which were not the best, except for Revenge of the Sith, which I felt
Mm.
was a great film. So we also had two disappointing films before that. So it's really kind of maybe hit and miss at
Well,
this.
as I said, I think it was you I was talking to yesterday about this. You know, I've always said this about Star Wars. I think George Lucas made a huge mistake with the Phantom Menace. He should have pitched it for the 20 somethings that we were at that time. We'd have gone and seen that, and we'd have lapped it up. This is a tragedy. This is a dark story about a guy that ends up falling to the dark side and destroying everything he loves. You know, don't fucking Jar Jar Binks me and pod race me and this and that. No, just make it a PG-15 or an 18. Just pitch it at those people. No, you won't make as much money, but you will engender lifelong fans that will continue to buy your stuff. And I guess maybe they still have. But wouldn't it be great if you were now looking back at the sequel, at the prequel trilogy as like the high point, the high watermark of Star Wars? Like say, yeah, the OT was brilliant, but the technology advances that they had and all this stuff that they did in the prequels was so great, and they kind of didn't. And I remember at the time people were really really hating on them. Um, but people have often asked the question, they've raised that point, haven't they? Well, do you think, with the benefit of hindsight, people will look back on the sequel trilogy with a bit more kindness than, because everybody was, George Lucas killed my childhood and all that about the prequels? And I think no, because as Rob often says, those are bad films with good Star Wars, right? But the sequels are bad films and bad Star Wars and just plain bad. There's no redeeming qualities in those films. Maybe the first one because they retreaded A New Hope, but from there on out, there's nothing to redeem those films. Nothing, nothing. There's nothing good about them, and people are realizing that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, for the prequels, for me, it wasn't. They were kind of a letdown, except for you know, Revenge of the Sith.
Mm,
But I think that they did still feel like Star Wars. But so there was kind of like a little. It was a little off, even from those films.
mm.
So it's like they had to work back to getting back on track or whatever it was, and certainly a huge effort was put into those movies to make us want to believe the storylines and everything. So I'm certainly not faulting anybody for moving away from what we know. It just wasn't. I didn't feel like it was the best effort put forward. So
I tell you what though about this, she's become a lot less irritating, and the guy that they've got playing Ezra, I keep wanting to say Ezra Miller, and it's Ezra Bridger. I know, but this guy's a very charismatic guy, and
oh yeah,
he was instantly likable. I
yeah,
mean, they cast that really well.
they did. He's hot, and I can see why she wanted to be around him. When they did the casting for it, I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah,
Now
if
why
only this had been a love story. If only this had been a love story. Why, but of course Disney, as we've discussed ad nauseum on here, they can't have it. What, a woman loves a man? I
no
don't-
one is ever in love, it seems like, in,
yeah.
these stories except for maybe Andor.
Mm.
Stubble McShave says, "It was pure idiocy that Ezra didn't pick up the lightsaber. That was what everyone was waiting for. We were waiting for that. We were also waiting" there's another thing we're waiting for, and I'm gonna mention it. No, instead, they have a Mandalorian girl who has an arsenal of weaponry already, keeping it, and she's like, "No, take it." That stupid argument, Russ, what a waste of film to see them arguing over whether he should take the weapon or not. This is the other area that we were all waiting for. I don't know about you, Russ. I don't know about the rest of you here, but this would have been a great time to bring in Billy Lord as Leia Organa. Why the hell didn't they do this, Russ? This would have been the
Who
crowning moment in the show.
who knows or dares to dream what I don't know. I don't know because you kind of have to think that Dave Filoni sort of knows what he's doing. I've seen several videos now, people sort of saying, "Oh, does he? Does he really?" But you have to wonder. You have to wonder how much sway Disney's got over this. And look, I'm going to say it again. You harken back to the opening episode of, like, I know, I love you like my own sister. We haven't got a romantic relationship going on because I'm straight and you're straight, and we're a man and a woman, and this is a Disney show, so we can't. And especially because I'm missing and you might be pining for me, we can't have that. You're a dynamic girl boss, and everybody got the fact that Sabine's a dynamic girl boss and don't need no man. Great. It's a huge mistake. It's a huge mistake, and you have to think as a writer, what was Filoni thinking there? Was he just like, he's going, well, look, I think they're in love now, and Disney have gone, no, 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 we can't have that. And I wonder, yeah, okay, well, maybe we could do, no, 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 you can't do that. Well, what about if we bring in, no, 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 you can't do that. And I think that this show suffers from that. That's in my head canon. It could be further from the truth, and Dave Filoni thinks all this stuff is brilliant, but it's the scene. The show seems to be wanting to do certain things, like in that last picture you were showing, the way she's looking at him and all that kind of thing. It's like they are boyfriend and girlfriend, but the show won't let you. I don't know, man. It's just fine. It's fine. I'm not going to get aerated about Ahsoka. And I thought this scene, I actually thought this was crass. Why are we bringing in C3PO? What the hell is it? Why? For what? That was that was really jangling the keys at that moment. I didn't, but as you say, if they'd have brought in Princess Leia, like 3PO comes in first and she follows up, then yeah, then you've got, that's not a key jangle. That's like something awesome that happens. Yeah, maybe it is a bit key jangly, but this was just crass. I thought. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think what would have happened is that obviously, of course, Billy Lord is Carrie Fisher's daughter. I
Mm,
think this would have, kind of put it to rest the notion of like, well, how do we bring Leia back? And the answer to me was always obvious. It should have been Billy Lord. I don't care that she's not an exact, carbon copy of her mother. I could care less about that. She's a great actress and she would have been great in that role. And it felt like they were hinting she was going to come in. This was like the biggest tease I've ever seen in my life. Of course, Anthony Daniels is spectacular. We're not, he's always wonderful, but it felt as if in this moment, something was going to happen. The same way we felt like, Ezra was going to get that lightsaber stubble, as you said.
Mm.
It felt like that was going to happen, and then we didn't see that, so that was a bit odd there. Um, and then what's another? Of course, there's Ezra, and they somebody did a painting like he's painting on a canvas here. It was so cute. He is stunningly beautiful, for what we're seeing. And here's Ahsoka. This I would have actually watched if it was just 8 episodes of Ahsoka talking to Anakin's recordings. I would have watched every single one of those episodes. I would have watched Huang tell her the story of the galaxies, episodes 1, 2, and 3, and I would have been happy with that, Russ. Stavros says Ahsoka had to transfer from cartoon to live screen. Yeah, they did do a good job of making that character come to life. There's a huge, gap more or less from, let's say, the last time that we saw her. Maybe not a huge gap, but there's a little bit of a gap in time. And this is older Ahsoka, and I think Rosario Dawson does great with what she has, but I also think they could have let her spread her wings a little bit more and let Rosario Dawson decide the tone of the character. I know that's very, very daring and bold, and she probably didn't have a choice of how she had to play the character. She did what she was asked to do, probably to the T. But I would have liked to have seen what Rosario Dawson what her spin on the character would have been. If she had any say. I doubt it, but I think for a woman who's so accomplished, such a great actress, seen her in so many different roles, she would have really given a different uh take on the character. And perhaps even if it was Rosario Dawson herself, I think I would have preferred that rather than, let's say, the way that they made her present Ahsoka Tano. So that's of course just a fantasy, um but it is something to think about when you look at it. um Someone says they wouldn't, some people would miss it, I guess, but I think we could wait because there's other material, Russ. This is not an empty show or an empty IP, Russ. There's a lot in Star Wars. There's a lot out there.
Yes, but it has been poorly managed. I really think it has been really badly handled from the get go. Okay, we all had hope with the Force Awakens. Everyone, because that was okay. It was okay because it was a very very safe movie. But I don't know, man. Even if you go before that, they just shouldn't. They just says, yeah, we're going to make the heir of the empire. Aren't you excited? Yeah, they're all back. Yeah, well, we have to recast. They're all ancient now. But people would have eaten it up. They would have been going mental for it. But was
Yeah.
not to be.
And Vicman de Santiago says, "Hey guys, hi Vicman, how are you? Good to see you and welcome. We're just about to wrap up the show. It's 2 hours. Hi guys, looks like Star Wars shows are just trying to fill a gap, but they are just losing audience. There is some cool things though, but not enough to build on it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
really
nice one,
does.
Vickman.
That's really a great description of what we're witnessing. Certainly it is unfortunate. And and this is something else too. I think if you're waiting for who's going to die in the finale, things just seem to be so pointless. Gosh, I can't get over how unurgent things feel. She doesn't have enough time. Didn't feel very urgent. I don't even know how much I care about these coffins inside the ship. um, Mario Lopez says if Sabine had given Ezra the lightsaber, he would have thrown it in the trash. Oh, wow.
Like Luke Skywalker, he's saying here.
And Stubble says the Hera scene was very underwhelming. It would have been more effective if they just recapped the later dialogue. What almost happened when you were away. And they didn't have to bring in Leia into the scene, but they could have had her on a hologram or something, like one of those cool, and they could have hinted like, oh my gosh, is that Billy Lord? And then it would have
Mm,
said at the bottom Billy Lord or something, like as Princess Leia. I
mm.
think people would have been like, oh my God, that it would have been really cool to have done something like that. Oh my gosh, I gotta stop
Yeah,
talking.
I think people will accept. I think people would accept new cast members. The guy that did Han Solo was pretty good. I quite like the Han Solo movie. I'm not going to lie, and I think people would accept a different Princess Leia and a different Luke if the content was good. But the problem, as everybody's pointed out a million times, no, it doesn't matter how great this is. We all know where it's going, and because we all know where it's going, who cares? There you go. I think that's it. That's doesn't matter how great this show is, does it? We know what's going to happen to this lot. We know where it's going, and nobody wants that. Nobody cares about that. So it's almost like people have been pointing out constantly with the DCEU coming to an end and the DCU starting off. And the Flash movie and the Aquaman movie and the Blue Beetle movie haven't. Well, Aquaman isn't out yet, but everyone knows it's going to be a flop. They haven't made any money. Well, because everybody knows they're a hide into nothing. Everybody knows that's it. It doesn't matter what you set up with these movies, or if you don't set anything up, who cares? We'll wait for the new Superman. Thanks very much.
I mean, here are some more interesting comments with Darth Plato, and you made so many good points, Russ. And we're running out of time. That scene needed Leia to show personally, and a waste of Mon Mothma
Hmm.
too. Yeah, it could have been nice to see Mon Mothma talking to Leia after she went off screen with Hera. Let's say Hera is no longer there. Mon Mothma dials up Leia, and Mon Mothma says, I need you to tell me exactly what's going on with this threat. And we'd be like, oh my God. Like it would have been just unbelievable. Mario points out it's always great to see Anakin. Yeah, she said she had 20 videos. I want to see those videos. It's like
Hmm.
they're introducing stuff that I really want to see. And Thrawn, yeah, he didn't. I'm not scared of him anymore. I was scared of him in Rebels, and I was, terrified of him for some reason. And I don't have that feeling about him. What is going on? Blue Sunrise. Hi, Blue Sunrise. How are you? Hope you are well. Good to see you today. Says they really, really, really did us dirty. Yeah, they did do us dirty with those
Mm.
films. Um, you
And hey,
know,
Blue Sunrise.
oh my God. Hold on. um, it'll be shirtless, maybe not topless. Holiday live stream. It'll be a shirtless one, but maybe not topless. I just want to point that out. I don't want to build up too many expectations, but yes, it's true we are. And Gary Smith says, hello. Hi, Gary. And here's the point. Rosario Ahsoka is not the Ahsoka that I remember. She has very different personality. The young Ahsoka actress did a better job. Yes, she was great. Wasn't is it Greenblatt, I think is her name? She was good. That little girl was great. And Mario points out it's not the Ahsoka I remember. No, it is. She's very different. Certainly, the character will change. Yes, she needed to break the internet. There needed to be something to break the internet, and there could have been a lot of things that could have broken the internet with, especially with Rosario Dawson.
Well, you say
Um,
that, don't you? She's fantastic, but I think the only thing that's broken the internet out of this show is actually Bale and Skull, Ray Stevenson. It's such, I did, you know what? I was having a cup of tea watching it today, and I was looking at he was doing something. I said, "Oh fucking hell, Ray!" You know what I mean? Like, why did you have to leave us? Like, you are brilliant, man. You are so many happy memories from my life with that guy. Just seeing him in things, and he's always awesome. And I was like, for fuck's sake, it's such a shame. And he is the best thing in the show.
he is the breakout character. Ray Stevenson has just become this incredibly strong force to reckon with. Irene says Billy is lovely in Scream Queens. Yeah, she's great. Isn't she good, Irene? I mean, she's totally film worthy, TV worthy. She would rock this. Oh gosh. It's just heartbreaking. Uh, Vickman says, very interesting that Thrawn is just getting not Smurf.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Darth Plato says, I have a take on Thrawn. I said, yeah, it is a very good take, and certainly he's not the character I recognize. And some people have been saying that too about him. Um, so with that being said, uh Blue Sunrise makes a point here. He says, I thought the show started out strong, but it doesn't give me completely fulfilled. Something's missing. It's hard to put my finger on it. Yeah. And
That's
that
it.
is a lot of people have said this. What is this show exactly about?
Yeah,
And that was
remember I was enthusing about it. I said, "No, I'm going to watch the next one. I'm going to watch No, I don't listen to these guys. It's really good." So I'm with Blue Sunrise on this, and it's kind of like, yeah, okay, this is going somewhere. I can forgive the faults. I want to go, and then I'm just like, no, I don't care now. I don't care. It's not done anything that it didn't deliver on the promise of the premise. There you go. It just didn't deliver. It hasn't delivered, and you've got nuggets of wonderful that we're looking at, and Shin Hati and all that. They're the best thing. The baddies are the best thing in the show, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, but you know what? I've actually got to go. I've got to go do my stepdad's shopping, so I can't hang out much longer, I'm afraid.
Well, we've passed the 2 hours, Russ, so it is time to end the show. Russ, where can people find you?
Here, or email me. And you can go and see my website at russellwhitfield.com. But more importantly, where can they find you, RM?
Guys, you can always find me here on Positive Fandom or on the Burnettwork. I also have to go. I want to thank everybody who was so generous in the super chats today. Thank you, Stubble. I so appreciate it. I also want to send a thank out to Irene Jobson as well, and also Stephen Bro. Thank you so much for the contribution, and of course, Bonzo Kilborn. You all certainly have made a huge difference to me. I'm going
I
to use
guess
that money.
you'll be sending Stephen Bro like super chats to get shirtless pictures of Stephen, right? That's it. I could see you counting the money from the purse right there. Brace yourself, Stephen. Super chats coming your way, dude.
And Stavros says epic Sundayness. Thank you. Yeah. Guys, thank you all for being here. I want to thank Tom Jr. Jackson, who also has his YouTube channel. Do please subscribe to his channel as well. And I want to thank everybody who supported me. It's been kind of a rough weekend. But certainly, and congratulations, Russ, to you for everything. And we are
Thank you.
praying everything goes your way. And of course, for everybody out there, just thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for joining us. And guys, remember, no matter where you are out there, no matter what galaxy you're in, for heaven's sake, always remember to please be kind. Take care,
See you
everybody.
later, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you so much. Bye bye now. Bye.